Do you overprepare? Do you feel that you haven't prepared enough? Do you want to avoid DM burnout from overpreparing? Have you accidentally railroaded your players so that your preparation wouldn't be wasted? Well, then you're in the right place. I've got you covered. I'm JW the DM, and I started DMing back around 83 or 84, and today I'm going to share with you the unpopular position that overpreparing not only doesn't have to be a bad thing, but can also spur better improvisation and be a lot of fun at the same time. I am an overpreparer, and welcome to my channel. Hit like and subscribe and set the bell icon to all. And join the Discord, link in the description. Now, thorough session prep, as I prefer to call it, gets a really bad rap. Granted, people don't know how to use the preparation they've come up with to create engagement and depth and verisimilitude in their sessions, while still respecting player agency and collaborative storytelling. I'll go more in depth and practical in a moment, but here's the short version. 1. Let the prep inform your improvisation in the moment. 2. Be ready to not use 90% of what you prepared for any given session. 3. Think of 2 or 3 ways the session may go, while understanding it may go somewhere completely different. And 4. Do thorough prep only because you enjoy it, not because you have to. If you're a person who probably doesn't enjoy going in depth with your preparation, then this isn't for you. Learn the lean preparation techniques, such as the 8 steps from the Lazy Dungeon Master Returns, which I've put the link to for the book and for Mike Shea's YouTube channel, Sly Flourish. Mike Shea wrote the Lazy Dungeon Master books, and they're in the description. Anyway, for everyone else, yep, that was the short version. It's time to go in depth now. I love session prep. Thorough session prep is literally world building on a smaller scale, and I love it. So if you love world building, you should lean into session prep with that same excitement. If you don't like world building but still want to overprep, then lean into the immediate problem solving aspect, the part about how the way everything at the start of the session can make sense of everything that came before and how those connect into what might happen. But find something to lean into. This is important because, as I noted in number 4 above, you'll want to enjoy thorough prepping as much as you can so that you can avoid burnout and disappointment. You should learn to enjoy this kind of prep for its own sake, because often 90% of what you come up with will be thrown out the window and the players will never see it. You are the main audience for your own preparation. That's not to say that you shouldn't create without doing your best to provide the best experience for you and your players. You should, but that effort spent on things the players never experience won't be wasted if you enjoyed creating it and are fine with being the only audience for those things. Here, let me tell you about my wife. She is a wonderful piano player. She plays at a level that is between pre-conservatory and conservatory, but she gets super nervous and makes a lot of mistakes when playing in front of people other than me and our kids. She plays several hours most days because she loves to play. She is her own audience. Prep is a game. Not just it's a role-playing game, but thorough session prep is a game unto itself that you are playing solo. So, if you are a habitual prepper and worried about burnout and the like, lean into your process rather than thinking you're doing it wrong or doing too much because of what other videos and books are saying. Before I continue, as there are no sponsors, let me take a moment to plug another place where you can find more videos on RPG advice from myself and others, and find a tremendous community on Discord where there's always a conversation, always advice, always everything, whatever else you can imagine. The place is GM Philosophy. There's a link to the YouTube channel and the Discord server in the description notes. All right, back to world building on a smaller scale. Like world building on the campaign level, it's easy to get lost in the weeds and spend hours on details that never come up, and then believing that you're not ready to run the game because you haven't prepped enough. So despite being a thorough prepper, you want to focus on what is most immediate to the situation. You might know why an NPC wants to tell a bit of information to the PCs, and if you don't want to improvise it, you'll have to know their name and what they do and how they're dressed. But you don't need to know all their backstory and what they ate for breakfast, unless that's relevant to the story, which it probably isn't. So try to stick to only what's immediately relevant to the story. Don't forget to follow player cues on this, by the way. What they pay attention to is, well, it helps determine what may be important to the story. So that'll give you hints about what you'll want to develop. Now, let this world building and the advice I'm going to give in just a moment inform your improv rather than hinder it. Just like GMs, there are different types of actors. When I was acting, I wasn't particularly great at improv theater games. But if I was in a play and someone went off script, I could completely improv in character to fit the situation and steer us back to the actual script again. That's what I'm talking about. The acting technique I was a student of was the understand everything about your character so that you can react truthfully and naturally to the things happening around you, and still get into and out of character as needed. This has carried over into my GMing and why I prep so thoroughly. Rather than be dismayed that my audience, the players, don't see most of my prep, the real reason for the prep was so that I know how my world will react, how it'll react to whatever the PCs do, and then I can more easily and confidently narrate the results of those actions. I know my world, at least what's pertinent, and that is the attitude to have about whether or not you can feel okay about improvising when you've done thorough prep. Another thing many videos and books claim can't be done. The attitude to have is that your prep isn't to railroad players into your plot, but to have an understanding of how the world most likely reacts to PC activities. Does this mean that, you'll never be taken by surprise and have no idea how to react? Absolutely not! But that can be an exciting and fun development when it happens, rather than something that comes up so often that it's frustrating instead. One of the ways to help that understanding is, while you're prepping, to know a few ways the session might go in play. This does two things. One, it informs what you might want to flesh out a little bit for just-in-case situations. And two, the simple act of creating a plan for handling those potentialities actually helps you be prepared for improvising when the players sometimes don't follow any of the potentials you planned for. As Eisenhower said, plans are nothing. Planning is everything. As long as you stay flexible and not committed to a plan when it goes off the rails, the act of having planned helps you understand other ways the world will react to those unexpected situations. Speaking of plans, when you're preparing a session, which some people would say planning a session, note the word plan. I'm starting to emphasize this in my videos. We use the word plan and not plot. Plans are changeable, they're flexible, and we can have backup plans. Plots, on the other hand, tend to be set in stone once they're figured out. So, when you're developing plans to handle potential multiple ways a session may go, remember, these are plans. And remember the proper attitude of thorough prep, that it informs your improvisation. Returning to the bit about thinking of multiple ways for a session to go, helping you cover the bases of what you might prep for, remember to leave yourself plenty of leeway for different things to have different meanings and purposes depending on what the players do. This is something, well, it's a tool that I've taken from Mike Shea, who I mentioned earlier. Separate things from and clues and purposes from most people, places, and things. Separate them. This way, if players don't go into room A, where you had a very important thing that was an important clue that the PCs needed to discover, instead you can put that thing in a room that they are going into as they are going there. Obviously, there will be times when a person, place, or thing is really important and can't be moved around. Major NPCs, where the palace is, the main room where the big MacGuffin is. But for everything else, assign them where you need them to be when you need them to be there. Is this a little bit of a quantum ogre? Yeah, but it means that you can spend more time on lore and stuff like that in your prep, which you have to admit, lore is generally more fun to create. If you disagree with that, let me know in the comments. Moving on. Whenever prepping a session, have more details about the who, what, when, why, and how of things that the PCs will immediately be interacting with at the start of the session. But you'll want to be more and more vague as you prepare things for later and later in the session, with the exception of things like boss fights, major MacGuffins, and the most important NPCs that you know will come up, which does happen. Maybe only have a word or sentence or potentially important objects to remind you what that might be about, rather than totally spending a half hour figuring out everything about that object. This gives you more flexibility to modify what you came up with for that object based on what events came before, and it also reduces some of the work that you have to put into things. This might be thorough prep, but we almost certainly don't have time to prep for everything. So the further away from the beginning of the session, except again for things like boss fights and MacGuffins, things should be less and less explained in hard detail. But I know my audience here and my own predilections, and I know there'll be a lot of detail anyway. What you gonna do? Anyway, those are my thoughts on ways to make thorough prepping, not over-prepping, be productive and more enjoyable rather than burn us out and compel us to railroad and show off all our prep work. I'll go over the 4 points from the short version again. 1. Let the prep inform your improvisation. 2. Be ready to not use 90% of what you prepared for any given session. 3. Think of 2 or 3 ways the session may go. That way, it'll help you roll with whatever the PCs actually do. And 4. Do thorough prep because you enjoy it. If you like this video and haven't done it already, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And it lets me know that you want more content like this. And join my Discord too. Again, the link is in the description. As always, may all your games be full of glory. Now watch one of these other excellent videos. Till next time.